What's up, self-healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Today, I wanted to come on and speak about the topic of the narcissist empath dynamic when it comes to food. So, ultimately, within a narcissist empath relationship, the narcissist is always trying to keep control, right? They want to control everything from every aspect, every angle. And so one of the ways that they will use control is through, use control with the way they keep the house. This is a whole other video, whether that be extremely clean or extremely messy. It's a control mechanism. But one of the ways I want to speak about today is that they will use control with food. So, as you can probably guess, I've been in several situations where I was involved with a narcissist, and so I've experienced this control through food from different angles, right? One of them was, and I have a video there, I'll drop the video down in the description, was through poisoning my food, right? And so my first husband had addictions to pornographic material and prostitution and things of that sort, and I was oblivious to it. The wife is always the last one to know, and I was just naive, right? I was young and naive. But as I started finding out more and more about it, I was getting closer and closer, and so the way this narcissist tried to control that was through food. And because I was getting closer and closer to discovering what he was doing. So he tried to control it through food, and actually went as far as trying to take my life through food. So that way he would be rid of me. He would also be able to come up on life insurance, and he could still live his whatever toxic addictions that he had without me being in the way. So they will do stuff like poison your food. Right? That's an extreme case. And of course, I would have to experience the extreme case. God forbid I get around that. And so anyways, so that's one of the extreme ways that they will use food to try to control or harm you. Other ways that they use food to try to control or harm you, let's say, for example, if you're with child and so you're pregnant, and they will try to control what you eat through that. But they will really try to control what you eat through postpartum. Yeah, when your hormones are trying to balance, you're all, women are completely and totally out of balance after they give birth, because their hormones just crash. And so they will use food during that time. They like to try to abuse you when you're most vulnerable. Either you're really, really highs, they will abuse you, or you're really, really lows, they will abuse you. And so after pregnancy, it's not always a really, really high. It's a lot of times women suffer from postpartum depression, or what they refer to as baby blues. And so they will try to control what you eat then. You need to lose that baby weight. You need to hurry up and get in shape. And at the time that I was with child, or I had given birth to my son, I was in the military. And so the whole staying a certain weight, a certain height and weight was huge. That's a trauma experience in itself. You're always being weighed, you're always being taped. If you're a half inch over, they refer to it as busting tape. And so, and the places that they would measure women of color would be through the hips. That would be their primary source, or the waist, the hips. And of course, most of us are naturally pretty hippie. And so it's really easy to bust tape in the military. And so he was a sergeant major, I was an E6, and he would put a lot of pressure on me as far as eating. And I mentioned in other videos where he would snatch food out of my hand. Like if I was putting food into the grocery basket, he would snatch it out of my hand and say, "You don't need to eat that. You don't even need to bring that in the house." Or, for example, he would put a little ticker on me to measure my steps, and he would tell me that I need to go run 4 miles, and I don't come back until it's 4 miles. And so this little ticker that he put on me would measure my steps, would measure the calories that I burned, would measure the distance that I ran, right? And so I had to run a certain amount of miles before I could come back. And then when I would come back, I wasn't allowed to eat anything that might put weight on me or anything like that. So it was a real strict way of eating, like controlled everything I put into my mouth, which made, I enjoy food. I'm a foodie, but I couldn't enjoy food. Food was used as a weapon that I had to monitor everything I put in my mouth. And if I did want to eat something, I'd have to leave the house and go eating on my own where he wasn't around. Another way that he would do this, like they like to control you during the holidays, right? Because during the holidays, of course, that's part of the celebration. There's lots of food there. So I had been dieting. Actually, I had been doing an Atkins diet or a keto diet after I gave birth to my son, because I was trying to get back down to military weight. And then I had him pressuring me, like, you know, every little thing I ate, it was monitored. Everything that I put in the basket was monitored. Everything I ordered was monitored. So my baby was born in June, and I had stayed on this strict diet until July. So I had got back down to my proper military weight, and I was back down to a nice size. And so I was out for my birthday, which is in August. And so we went out to eat under the pretense of celebrating my birthday. Well, I had ordered something called a mudslide, which is it was a drink that had like lots of chocolate and caramel in it and whipped cream, but it was actually an alcohol drink. But it looked like a big dessert. It came in a big glass, and the waitress brought it to me, and she said, "Happy birthday." And I said, "Thank you." And I'm getting ready to just indulge in this drink because I have been so strict for the last June, July, August, for the last 90 days. I've been really strict on myself, and like I said, him being abusive in the background, and then the pressure from the military to be a certain weight and size. So I was really getting ready to celebrate my birthday. And as soon as the waitress put it down on the table and said, "Happy birthday," he looked at the waitress and said, "Take it back. She doesn't need that. Bring her some water with lemon." And I was just sitting there like, he might as well have took the drink and threw it into my face, because I was sitting there embarrassed and ashamed and like, dang, I can't even celebrate my birthday, right? And so he controlled, they can abuse you through food. So they really like to do that during celebrations. Like you're around the family, everybody's getting ready to eat Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or whatever. And then they're there monitoring you, watching everything you put on your plate. Might pull you to the side and say, "You don't need to eat that pie," or "You don't need to drink that drink," or, you know, just ruin the holidays. They are notorious for ruining holidays. Notorious, you know. They love the holidays because it's a feeding ground. They can go on a feeding frenzy, but they also like to disrupt the holidays and ruin them for anybody that's around them. They like to destroy the holidays. I just got to where I don't even celebrate holidays anymore. I just, you know, I stopped celebrating holidays a long time ago. Because you have the narcissistic family members too, you know. They want to get drunk and they want to loud talk, and then that's just never been my thing. You know, I'm not. I had my phase where I liked alcohol and stuff like that, but by this time I'm like, I don't want to drink alcohol. I don't want, you know, I just want to chill, you know. So family gatherings can be really stressful when you have the narcissistic family dynamic, and then you got the narcissistic mate. And they're trying to control what you put into your body and so forth and so on. So another way that narcissists will try to control you with food is they'll be extreme. You know, like if they're a vegan, the whole family has to be vegan. You know, I knew this one narcissist, she was a vegan, and her daughter was suffering. Her daughter was suffering, like she was losing her hair, her skin was messed up. And I just simply mentioned, have you ever thought that maybe the vegan lifestyle is really not for her? That's why her body is responding that way. Like the little girl was like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11, and she had alopecia. Her hair was just falling out in clumps because she was malnutritioned. But because she was so dead bent on being a vegan, the whole family had to be a vegan. Never taking into consideration that veganism is not for everybody. That different people's bodies have different needs. That will never cross the narcissist's mind, because they're so hell-bent on their thought that being a vegan is the most spiritual, most healthy thing to do. Yeah, for you, it's the most healthy thing to do. It may not be the most healthy thing to do for your 9-year-old or your husband even, you know? And so they're really, you know, dead bent on trying to control everyone else's diet under the pretense of being spiritual or holy or better than thou or healthy, when it's obvious that there's visual signs that it's not healthy for everybody. And they'll ignore those signs and still try to control the entire household. They may do things like blame you. Like, say if you have a child that's kind of chubby and overweight, which a lot of children are, they might blame you. It's your fault that the child is overweight, you know, and make you feel like a bad parent, make you feel like you're abusing your children because you have one child that's a little chubby or whatever. Different children have different personalities. You have one child that will take off running. I have twins. That boy will run a 9-minute mile in a heartbeat. That girl's like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Or she will run, but she's not going to run a 9-minute mile. They're two different people. And they're twins. You know what I'm saying? They eat the same amount of food, but he burns his food off really quick. She's just a girl. Women carry more weight than men because of what we do in this lifetime. We have to create babies. We have to create lives. We have to give birth. And so our bodies are naturally just a little more meaty than a man's, you know? But a narcissist will look at the two and say, you're abusing her because she has this, you know, she's a little thicker than the others. It's just crazy. Any way to find to abuse you, right? And they like to do this through food and stuff. So they will accuse you of being a bad parent if one of your children are a little chunky. Now the child is, you know, not extremely obese or anything, but they will use anything to try to make you look like a bad parent. You got little fat babies. They will even say you're giving the baby cow's milk and you do whatever. They'll find any reason to try to make you feel like you're a bad parent when it comes to food. And so there's like a family dynamic of abuse. You know, you have narcissistic families where everybody in there is super duper weight conscious. And so somebody like me comes around that's a little thick on them, then they look at you like, you got issues going on. You know, the whole family is, you know, having a salad and I want to have chicken in my salad, but they're all looking at you, judging you at the table, you know, because God forbid that perfect mask of a family that they have gets cracked in any way to include mealtime. That mess is psychotic, man. The only reason you'd have to experience to know what I'm talking about. Because usually when you have a narcissist coming from a narcissistic family dynamic, 9 times out of 10, the whole family, they know who he or she is, because they're just like them. They're just like the flying monkeys to the narcissist. So they try to make you feel some type of way when you're at family gatherings, and everybody else is ordering a salad and salmon, and you order a steak and salmon, and they shoot that nasty energy over there like you're just something just horrible because you ordered something they didn't order. You know, you're not falling in line with the family mask. Another thing, to the other extreme that narcissists will do, and other cluster B personalities, is that they will hoard food. They hoard food, you know, where it's just so much food in the house that you can't even open the cabinet and stuff is falling out. They hoard it and they monitor it. Now you got 20 boxes of cereal in there, and somebody finishes one box and they come back, who ate my cereal? Never mind, you got 19 other boxes in there. They're hoarders and they try to control the food within the house. And that becomes pretty nasty too, because there's no way that people can eat all of that food. So it starts to spoil, and then you start getting stuff like roaches and rats and things of that sort. But the food is just crammed in there. Family members that go to the food bank every week to just gather more food when they have a house full of food, right? Or they go just buy baskets and baskets of groceries with food stamps that no one could possibly eat all of that, right? And so they hoard food. It's a way of controlling the kitchen, controlling the house, you know, and they monitor it so they know what they have in there. And so if anybody tries to eat it, or you try to say, hey, we don't need 20 boxes of spaghetti, you know, why don't we donate, instead of going to the food bank taking food, why don't we donate 19 boxes of spaghetti to the food bank or something, you know? I'm telling you, these monkeys are nuts. I mean, they just do crazy things. They can't sit down and have one glass of milk. They got to drink the whole gallon. They can't sit down and have one piece of rotisserie chicken. They got to eat the whole rotisserie chicken. You know, so it's like this hoarding thing that they do, and monitoring the food. And so that takes me to gluttony, where they would rather stuff themselves full than share with you. They'd rather throw that food in the trash can than share with somebody else, to give to the needy or something like that. It's just crazy. Another extreme that they will do is that, say for example, if I'm going out on a date with someone and I know that my date is a vegetarian or a vegan, I will accommodate that. Now, if I'm going out on a date with someone who says they're a vegetarian or a vegan, I'm not going to order a medium rare T-bone steak or ribeye steak where blood is running off on my plate and the blood is the gravy for the mashed potatoes. This person has already expressed to me that they have a special diet, and if I'm going to be in the company of them, they don't even have to say it to me. I'm automatically going to respond with accommodating myself to their diet. It's a form of showing respect. It's a form of showing that I really like this person, and I'm willing to make some changes, when I'm in the company of them, because I really enjoy their company. A narcissist, I've been through the whole, sometimes depending on where I am on a spiritual journey, my diet will shift, right? And so sometimes I'm a meat eater, sometimes I'm a pescatarian, sometimes I'm a vegetarian, sometimes I'm a vegan. I shift, sometimes I fast. And so I'm constant. I depending on where I am on my spiritual journey is what I tap into, and I just listen to my inner self with that, right? If I'm dealing with stuff where I need to be grounded, I'm more likely to be more of a meat eater. If I'm dealing with stuff where I'm in the spiritual, where the spirit is working from the heart chakra up, I'm more to be like eating fruits and vegetables and berries and maybe some salmon or something. And so when you're on your spiritual journey, your diet will shift. But I don't go around making everybody else shift with me, right? So you're on a date with someone who is a vegan or vegetarian at the time or whatever, and you just tell them that's what you're practicing in the moment, because just because you are something in the moment doesn't mean you have to be that way for the rest of your life, right? Because like I said, as your spiritual journey shifts, your diet will shift. If you're in tune with yourself, right, your diet will shift. So I'm on a date with this narc, right? And this dude piles meat up on his plate. I think we went to a buffet or something. He piles meat up on his plate a foot high. This raggedy ass monkey is sitting across from me, sucking on bones and stuff. Now at the time, I'm a pescatarian. So I have my salmon, I have my salad. I don't expect him to change his diet. But if you're on a date with me, it would be nice if you could respect the diet. It's just that one time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not expecting you to change who you are and be like me. But they'll do stuff like that. You're dating a vegan, which a vegan probably won't even date you if you're a meat eater, but still, you're dating a vegan, and then he tells me, yo, I'm a vegan. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that, and then I watch what they order, and I order something similar. Why? Not because I'm trying to be like them, but because I'm on a date with them. I'm getting to know them, and I respect their boundaries. Narcissists do not respect boundaries. They don't expect boundaries until the empath puts their foot in their ass and forces them to accept boundaries. So these are some ways that that narcissists will control people with food. Any little thing that they can use to abuse you or control you, they'll use it. These are some busybodies. I don't know where they find the energy. Yeah, probably from the empath, but where they just put so much effort into controlling. Yeah. Anywho, those are some ways they can control you with food. I'm sure there's other ways, but yeah, those are some of the things that I have experienced. Yes. So that's all I have for you today here on Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Don't forget to set boundaries, empaths. Stand in your power. Stand in your truth. And what works for you works for you. So set those boundaries. Remember that no is a complete sentence. That's not going to work for me is a great sentence. That might work for you, but that doesn't work for me is a great sentence. You know, you can do what you want to do. I don't care. I'm not trying to judge you, but I prefer not to be judged is a great sentence. And so setting those solid boundaries with a narcissist, because they will control you. Everything that you do will be controlled, to include eating food. Well, if you like my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Somebody liked the video for you, got it in your algorithm. Please like it so you can get it in other people's algorithm. Subscribe if you like my content. Maybe leave a comment, share an example of something that you've been through similar that you didn't realize was abuse until later or until now even. And if you really feel my energy, go ahead and hit that bell notification so that you know the next time that I upload. We'll see you next time here on Closing the Gap. Y'all have a good day.